And, of course, when it's free agency time, that means it is time for an impromptu show, an instant reaction. Guerschon Yabusele headed to the New York Knicks on a 2-year, $12 million deal with the player option. We'll break it all down right here on this instant reaction version of Locked On 76ers.
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And once again, welcome into Locked On 76ers, your first listen every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Keith Pompey, live from Camden, Sixers practice facility where everybody's getting ready for the Summer League. You saw the news about Guerschon Yabusele. What are they saying down there or over there in Camden?
Yeah, they didn't open up the media availability yet. So, really not a lot of discussion. But as we talked about earlier today, this isn't all but surprising. I mean, once they got Trendon Wofford, you kind of figured out that he wasn't coming back. And right now, what's really happening is, they're focused on bringing in Quentin Grimes. That's the guy that they're going to get. As we talked about, he's a restricted free agent. They're going to wait to see how much money he commands. And then from that point forward, they know what else to do. But, it's a tough one for the Sixers just because, Yabusele, Guerschon was a fan favorite. A lot of people are upset. They could have used their mid-level exception to get him. But at the same time, it's one of those things where you have to know how much money you're going to have to allocate towards Quentin Grimes before you can use that taxpayer mid-level.
All right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think most Sixers fans saw this coming. Absolutely. However, the New York Knicks, it feels like a little bit of a, it doesn't feel good to see a Sixer that people did appreciate in his 1 year here in Philadelphia go to the New York Knicks. Your reaction to that, and then also on top of it, 2 years, $12 million seems like it was almost doable for the 76ers. What do you make of that as well?
Yeah, and that's the thing when it comes down to the mid-level. Like, that's when it, the thing that's where it comes down to, right now, we're talking about taxpayer. They're going to be in the taxpayer with once they get Quentin Grimes probably. So that money, you don't know if you're going to have that money or if you use it up. You know what I mean? So it's unfortunately for him, he had to wait until they finished with getting Quentin Grimes. And yes, does it hurt? Yeah, I mean, I can imagine from their standpoint, it hurts that the money we had, the Knicks took them. But our priority was Quentin. And also for him, he can't sit around and wait for Quentin to get paid because after that, all the money's going to come off the table. Him going to the Knicks is a hurt piece, I guess, for the Sixers fans, right? Yeah. This is one of your stiffest rivals. He's a guy who, played well. They're a team. They're a team that where you look at it, you don't want him there because they're already physical. He's already, probably going to be motivated when he plays you because it's like, you guys didn't give me the money. But at the same time, I think you have to know all that when you make the decision to go after Quentin first to see what he does and then come back with Yabu. And then also, like we talked about, when you got Wofford coming, you knew that it was unlikely for him to come back.
Are you at all surprised at the price tag for Yabusele with the Knicks?
I am. Yes, I am. I thought that he would just get more. But at the same time, when you look at the money that was going out, there was a lot of guys who weren't getting money, right? And I also think that's probably why he couldn't wait afterwards, because he saw that the money was dwindling away. A lot of people thought that he could get 12 per, maybe 15 per. But it just seems like the market just isn't really there right now.
Yeah, that's the big news on the home front here in Philadelphia with the 76ers. I do want to ask you a general NBA question, and that has to do with Damian Lillard essentially being waived by the Milwaukee Bucks. We've talked a lot about the East being wide open for the Sixers. What did you make of the Bucks' decision with the veteran Damian Lillard?
It's kind of sad though when you look at it, and I get it is a business, but I wonder if Damian Lillard didn't, mess up his Achilles, would they do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So here's a guy who was injured last year, he gets hurt, and then all of a sudden, they basically they waive him, and they're going to stretch the contract. The thing about it is though, when you look at it, he's still going to get paid. Now he could go somewhere in rehab. He always wanted to go to Miami. This opens up the door for him to go to Miami. So, it's a sad situation, but if I'm going to get paid, rehab, and then a year later play for the Miami Heat, I think I'll probably get over it. As long as I get paid.
Yeah, I think the nice nights down there in Miami would certainly help get over it. Keith, I know you're down there at the practice facility, so I thank you very much for being able to do this so we could get some inside information when it came to Guerschon Yabusele signing with the New York Knicks. Keith, thanks, brother.
Thank you. Peace.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. I think all Sixers fans, when they saw the news when it came to Guerschon Yabusele agreeing to terms on a 2-year deal with a player option for a 3rd year with the Knicks at $12 million. I think a lot of people thought, well, we knew this was going to happen, that he wasn't going to be with the 76ers. The writing was certainly on the wall with the addition that the Sixers made yesterday with Trent and Watford. But when it came to the money, it seemed affordable. As Keith just talked about, you're talking about a mid-level exception there, possibly with Guerschon Yabusele. The Sixers are pushing all their chips in the middle when it comes to retaining a player. It's not Yabu, it's Quentin Grimes. The fact that it's the Knicks, that is what stings the most. Yes, we knew Guerschon Yabusele wasn't going to be here, especially after their most recent free agent acquisition. But it being the New York Knicks does not help the situation. Possibly seeing him in the playoffs, certainly seeing him in your own division. Yeah, that's what stings just a little bit. As far as what could be next for the Sixers, on our show earlier today that we went live with at 10 o'clock, and then shortly thereafter, the news broke about Guerschon Yabusele. During the 10 o'clock show today, we talked about how it doesn't seem like the Sixers are going to be much involved in the free agency frenzy that's going on, but Summer League is going to be around the corner with the Sixers participating in both Utah and Las Vegas. So look forward to seeing what comes out of that. As far as any big acquisition, it's not really going to be an acquisition as much as a retainment of Quentin Grimes as the Sixers go all in that direction. Thank you for checking out. Instant reaction to the 76ers not being able to re-sign Guerschon Yabusele and him headed to division rival, Eastern Conference rival, the New York Knicks. This episode was brought to you by FanDuel. Make sure you guys are taking advantage of all that there is to offer with FanDuel. Summer sports in full swing. And whether you're all about baseball, golf on the greens, or high-stakes soccer action even, FanDuel is the best way to make every game a little bit more exciting. And how about this? For new customers, if you're new to FanDuel, you can get a $5 bet. And if that $5 bet hits, you get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started. I've been using FanDuel to track my favorite matchup. The app always keeps it very interesting. And whether I'm placing a same-game parlay or watching a bet ride into the 9th inning, FanDuel makes it feel like it's even that much more exciting. So once again, if you're new to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open FanDuel app or visit FanDuel.com today to get started. This has been a bonus edition of Instant Reaction for your Locked On 76ers. Back with you guys tomorrow. See ya.